YouTube comments from a video titled, History Repeats Itself. Allegedly Part 1.
At Reggie Dotson C1 you wrote,
is the same group that is taking over and getting ready to go out the back door with all the money. This is the globalist. I was alive, and well, I came through Jim Crow. I came through the civil rights movement. We know this is the same type of takeover. Now, they're trying to roll back to Jim Crow, trying to do a new world order.
Offender Thesade wrote,
Lone gunmen usually pick spots like Vegas or a water tower somewhere, and they claim more than one. They start blasting. Crazy to think they did know of this kid's plot and rolled with it.
Chaz Lebrecq wrote,
Government celebrates historical figures they assassinate and rebrand them for their own use as political manipulation weapons. Rewind, repeat. WHY? Because it's worked so well in the past.
At the _Roosevelt_enclave wrote,
Did you say twice? Look up JFK, bud. And we're still just scratching the surface with the amount of people that the terrorist of the Middle East murdered.
At Luckalashi 369 wrote,
So in other words, the FBI is useless and should be abolished. If America can't trust you and loses those working hardest to keep US united, the WETHE people don't need to fund them. Do they work for us or the wealthy? Yes, we know. They choose dollar over America. No patriots in the FBI.
At Ogenevieve wrote,
right down to the clean and cover up of the surrounding areas. Jesse Jackson was supposedly on that balcony with Dr. King, but if he knew what was happening. James.
At Tommy Foster 4601 wrote,
It's also just like the scumbags at the FBI to do this shit. But that gaff who is running it now, all the Somos should and are becoming FBI agents.
At Kelly in Texas 3575 wrote,
And if you have been to Memphis or are an Elvis fan, you would know Memphis is THE leftist Jewish Mecca aka headquarters. This Lorraine Hotel is a couple of blocks from Lansky Brothers, the clothing store that dressed every Jewish leader, the mob, blues players, Indie Elvis in 1956 on credit, owned by Meyer Lansky's TWO sons. Yes, that Meyer Lansky. RUNNDOWN, the entire city of Memphis. One of Elvis's Memphis Mafia members' Aka handlers was the nephew of a Supreme Court judge. Elvis would make regular $150,000 donations to the massive synagogue there. The Mafia run that entire city. ITS exactly where the colonel came from. The Mafia and the U.S. Intel were one even back then. They turned that into the Civil Rights Museum with major backing. They have an entire slavery floor that tells how white men are to blame.
Ken 1970s wrote,
Well, government works in mysterious ways. Doesn't it deny, that's their words? And then they say it was one gunman. Oh, sounds familiar. I kind of like in Texas. It's familiar.
At Juan Cantu 761 wrote,
Edgar Hoover WS a racist THEKKK become THECIANDFBI. This ISWHY Democrat. Party ISS O good AT brainwashing schools AND brainwashing THE public IN general thinking the ETHE ones who freed THE blacks they DID nothing FORTHE black people. LBJ Johnson and Edgar Hoover were childhood friends they're both racist. I am 45 years old and I came to that conclusion when I was 14, just BY watching history. What you're watching ITINTHE news today, IS nothing but UT Democrat propaganda. Operation Mockingbird WASO, their tactics, OF using THE news media. Covering ANY type OF story, that HASTODO with THE killing black people. Democrats Party IT's Nothing BUTCIAFBI operatives history A&D trying TO reenact IT Black Lives Matter. These people shed their blood, keep black people slaves ANDNOW they need TO hide their history. They AETHE Party OF systemic racism ANDTHE KKK Marxism. Republicans never needed platitudes or brag about their history. They just expected YOUTO know your damn history THE Democrats have spent decades brainwashing people.
Sorority wrote,
Martin Luther King, a Protestant revolutionary man. FBI intelligence agency ran by the Jesuit Order of the Vatican, which also killed JFK. Read The Vatican's Assassins Wounded in the House of My Friends by Eric John Phelps.
David Cannells wrote,
Yes, the Democrats have been conducting assassinations on American citizens for decades. They are the party of the KKK, Weather Underground, Antifa, BLM, and multiple other extremists organizations.
@Rajung_ch wrote,
They will always use the same playbook because they believe that the people are stupid. The sooner people wake up and grab their country back, the better. If not, you can say goodbye to your future.
@AaronGuest6205 wrote,
They figured it worked out for them before, so why not try it again? They've done it on live TV a couple times since this, and only one was a success for them. Wish we could only make it up, but if it looks like a duck and sounds like a duck, then it's a good chance it's the government.
Sydney Blackstone 2428 wrote,
I could have sworn MLK was unalived in his driveway by a lone man with a handgun while he was leaving his house. The guy just walked up and did it. I distinctly remember the black and white photos of a house and car. Does anyone else remember that?
@Orphan61 wrote,
MLK was a CHA operative, the useful idiot communist posse that ushered in white genocide under the guises of false black oppression, using whites as the scapegoat, and that, my friend, has been the same narrative since Lincoln.
Michael Torres 8598 wrote,
He was broke and kind of a vagrant. He didn't take the shot. Someone else did. He was in Canada just before a handler by the name of Rawl. So how did a broke vagrant get the funds to travel and buy a rifle and so on?
Sheena Duncan 5839 wrote,
I know somebody who was close to a man that was celled up with Ray. He said that Ray claimed he was a beatnik traveling in Europe at or around the time of the shooting. They said he claimed he was innocent and framed because he was a bit of a drifter and no one would believe him. Even the Kings believed he was innocent. So the legend goes.
Patty Kelly 07V wrote,
Same thing with Kennedy. The assassin went with Oswald Day before target shooting, put his prints on the rifle, planted the rifle. Shots came from an auto body shop behind a fence. Oswald was never in the depository. And all the videos that were confiscated were scrubbed from where he really was, which was in the crowd.
Mark 712 wrote,
Yeah, and the site near the hotel was paved and repainted before sunrise the next day. 4,000-watt paver is going to answer their phone after 5 p.m. to do a job starting immediately.
Mitchell Henderson Q4H wrote,
CIA case officer Robert Greene of the Atlanta CIA office organized King's assassination. Mike Catroni of the Catroni crime family in Montreal, Canada, was the assassin. James Earl Ray was the patsy.
Junior Villagrana 4382 wrote,
He never died. He was a Freemason.
The entire world is a stage, and when you give it attention and negative feelings because of his death, then they're harvesting negative emotions. Turn off all media and news and open your Bible.
At Anna Mary Ludwig 3204 wrote,
My German grandfather always was right about them. The Zionists occupied the USA a long time ago. They need their third temple, and the way to get is very evil.
At Cal 4207 wrote,
Keep putting that end on a pedestal, it won't make a difference. There is historical documentation that he was other women, while married, and the stupid still defended him when he was dead. Like he wasn't around on her.
At J. Williams 8767 wrote,
What about when Martin got to the hospital alive and he was suffocated to death? Where are those bastards that did that? I hope they rot in hell, and they most definitely will.
At Cord Ito 4474 wrote,
Assuming the CK assassination was the work of the GVNMNT, just like the MLK assassination, you would think the GVNMNT will be more creative in their cover-up. Nah. Pretty much copy and paste. Why should they work harder since the mass media is on their side, and the public are suckers?
Charles Dan wrote,
The small window that James Earl Ray could have shot from was not looking to where MLK was. If the shooter placed his whole gun out of the window, maybe he could have had a clear shot. Impossible. It has been said the window was enlarged. Amen?
At CFAS 373 wrote,
Great stuff, man. Surely you have a food tester, a car starter, and you aren't using any prescription meds. Just thinking out loud. Keep up the great work.
At Sterling Lewis 4774 wrote,
The saddest part is, even though we can see the obvious deception, we can't do anything to get justice. I don't know why they even bother covering it up. What difference does it make?
At Super Sarah 0303 wrote,
I was born May 10th, 1968. I came for this disgusting assignment. Some of us were. We know who we are. We saw through the matrix from the start gates. We were identified early. Quietly, we do our internal work, serve the most needy, and hold our light. Keep going.
At Crystal Madison N3C wrote,
MLK was killed in the hospital by the nurses. They suffocated him with a pillow after he was supposedly shot at hotel by the white man. US, it just me, but seems all of these deaths from our govern is like a murder from the Clue game. He was killed by candlestick in the den with coal mustard. Lol.
At Chastity Purcell 9616 wrote,
There's no. One else find it weird and strange that JFK was killed on 11/22 of 63 and Charlie Kirk was killed at 12/23, and if you take the 1 and the 6 out, it gives you the time that Charlie Kirk was killed.
At C0 and Fusi0N0F the highest _ order wrote,
The real problem is the American taxpayers. They are way too passive. They don't care until they'll come to your homes and throw you out. They too fat and ignorant.
At Louis Ariel 3138 wrote,
They will run the same play as many times as they can get away with it. The shooter has to be caught in the act. Then you have to keep the assassin alive long enough to get the truth. Impossible to do, it's a well-oiled machine.
At Assavetant wrote,
He wasn't dead when he got to the ER, so the ER doctor put a pillow on his face and kept it there until he stopped breathing. Miraculously, the bullet missed every major blood vessel in his neck.
At Hezekiah White QE4 Lou wrote,
The United States of America Corporation,
are the people of Gentile origin and are uncivilized. They are the problem and should be banished from the North American continent, along with all the immigrants and migrants.
A Texas Tornado 1195 wrote,
I sometimes wonder if God didn't take Charlie home to spare him of what seems to be happening at TPUSA. It would have crushed Charlie to find out that his company had been infiltrated with snakes, and possibly even that his wife was not what she portrayed herself to be. If the rumors are true.
At Alan Kaczynski, L5Z wrote,
What is multiculturalism and diversity? How do I see it fit again, divide and conquer the nation? Some people terrorized that the CIA, just like Kennedy being shot, they wanted to see a race for your last century lost. Over 80 million people. Because of wars, you have the Russians and Ukrainians fighting each other today. Why? The 60s, the baby boomer era, ended in 1965. They started bringing all these different races and cultures into America. A house divided shall fall. Why are they pushing white women with black men in commercials, cartoons, magazines, articles, you name it? At the same time, they're bringing all these Muslims, Ethiopians, and Haitians, and people from India into the United States and Europe. People, the war isn't against the black people. If you do your diligence, you see they are setting up the white race for self-depopulation, which we are doing, and collapsing it morally and financially. Remember a man named Khrushchev. We are going to destroy the West without firing a shot. MLK, was he communist? Probably. They were saying that he was a womanizer and he beat women inside a hotel rooms. Any love the white women? There's a lot more shenanigans going on, folks, along with what this guy is talking about.
At Carla Martin 7892 wrote,
That's what they do. They get away with it, so why change something that they know works? But see, they haven't counted on the fact that we have the internet now. We aren't as ignorant as people once were. Because they only had the fake news, which has always worked with the CIA for the most part. Times have changed. And we know they are crooked, and we know their playbook now. Hopefully Charlie gets justice.
At Eric Stowe 7243 wrote,
Google and drill down on this one. Coordinator for JFK and RFK assassination, as well as advisor for MLK shooting for CIA, was David Sanchez Morales. See Operation White Star and follow the Golden Triangle.
At Ronulin 62 wrote,
MLK assassination was proven to be a government conspiracy in a U.S. court of law. The U.S. has to be the only country that would assassinate you and then create a national holiday in your honor.
At Grimmer Twin 2148 wrote,
Could be time to do a metaphorical double-barrel shotgun takedown of the Weinstein fraudsters. They seem to emerging from the swamp again, like many others, in the wake of Kirk's termination.
At Clearest Water 4424 wrote,
He was a turncoat to his people, then he realized he couldn't live with himself and turned on them and told the truth. His conscience got the best off him and got him killed.
Kevricat wrote,
The FBI also paid the prison warden $25,000 that James Earl Ray was housed in 1 year prior to let him escape from that prison. Then he somehow got a fake ID with the name of an arms factory owner who happened to have security clearance. And then he somehow went to Beverly Hills, where a Philadelphian plastic surgeon gave him a rhinoplasty. And then he traveled back AMD 4th from there to Canada and back to the United States and all the way to Mexico, and then he decides to go to Memphis and kill MLK, and he supposedly plans it in 1 week. And then for some reason, someone in MLK's entourage chooses to change their motel room to one that was front-facing and on a balcony. This is incredibly familiar to Charlie Kirk's assassination.
At Jake Farber 9287 wrote,
Unless that bullet is a TNT round or an X, there will be gilded metal from the jacket. Regardless, the composition of the bullet media will match the existing leftover ammo, especially if they are hand loads. No body hand loads just one round. The metal in Charlie's neck will tell us where it came from. You can take a K98 apart with a screwdriver. Screws are what hold it in the stock. You only save 7.25 by unscrewing the barrel from the action. Produce the bullet.
Ajimda 4910 wrote,
You left out the part about Kennedy. They caught Oswald, immediately declared he was the only gunman, and what they said he did didn't match what actually happened. So Charlie Kirk would actually be the third time they ran the same playbook.
And Nicole McFall wrote,
The Ghost of Ukraine did it, that would be a good idea for a horror movie, not the fake fighter jet. Pilot Bull, but something with the chemicals causing some weird stuff, and it evolves into all kinds of other. Then the Russians have to start all over, but in the end, it's like The Sixth Sense, and they are all dead okay, not a good idea for a movie.
At You Win comment section wrote,
And this was 5 years after Joke Shooter was gunned down during a perp walk on national TV, after an interrogation with no notes or recordings during a 12-hour session. Say what you want about her, but Candace makes it pretty obvious to anyone willing to look that this story they are presenting makes zero sense.
At Pam Hernandez 6565 wrote,
Why do you think it's the FBI? It could just as easily have been the CIA. And to be honest, a lot more plausible to be the CIA than the FBI. Am I missing something?
Tydro 1 wrote,
Why is it always a 30-odd 6? You three-letter agencies are always do some devilish shiznit. I wonder why. There's 5 things to remember. Who, what, when, where, and why. That usually resolves problems, except when it was a murder lies, controls the lies by the liars that created it.
At Plato Scavreactor 6676 wrote,
Most, if not all of the incidents in the last 30 years, like Charlie Kirk, are public MK Ultra events to traumatize the entire country, all for the benefit of the 2%ers.
At Dan Sklenicki 9982 wrote,
If you know that for the last 80 years at least, you have been emitting a mind control signal through the public broadcast systems, FCC Now Digital, could you ever believe that they would not use it? Or the thousands of German scientists brought in during WW2.
At Lamaquinata Fuego wrote,
Of course they can get away with it. How many times they've set up a country to get invaded, and Americans just go along with it for the most part in the name of democracy.
Joe Liptow wrote,
This is all about subjugating the working class to the benefit of elite greed. The executive, legislative, and judicial branches seem to be in on it. FYI, radical capitalism is not helping the American dream or the planet.
At Laura Jonas R1V wrote,
Oh, I'm sure Trump sanctioned it. See, Charlie was a threat in it just to Israel, but Tantrumo and to the Republican caucus, because everyone wanted him to run for president. I'm sure just like JFK, it's multiple players all conspiring. It wasn't Tyler, there's a video showing a bullet pass by Charlie.
Johnston 3816 wrote,
The bullet didn't kill Martin L. King. They smothered him with a pillow while he was in the hospital. Look at the JKF assassination. That one is odd. The American government red room its citizens they deem a problem for them. Look how they sneak into other countries or just invade other countries. Look at how they just sneaked into Venezuela and kidnapped their president, government-sanctioned, like all the other government-sanctioned red rums and invasions.
At James Burgess 3628 wrote,
Bottom line is the government believe they can get by with anything. Because they can tell us anything, and no matter how ridiculous it is, the mass of the people will believe it. Remember the magic bullet with JFK? Yes, absolutely sure a bullet can do that, right?
Twisty HD wrote,
And meanwhile, they just pour new concrete over the crime scene. Crazy how we're still calling James Earl Ray the guy who took out MLK Jr. when the Guff literally said the bullets didn't match. Crazy how it's another neck shot as well.
At Pat Pool 6653 wrote,
Memphis cops were evil and scary. My blind father was murdered and robbed, and we suspect the cops. They also kicked an old man to death by Jack Frost, and all the witnesses died.
Tectaco wrote,
Land of the free, until they decide to take you out. Till then, you absolutely have free speech. It is quite an evil society when you think about it.
At Michael Rissler 5687 wrote,
If you're gonna investigate, don't investigate it off with the mainstream teachers you want to do some real investigation in the MLK and see who he was really as a person while he was really cute and not the mainstream. To keep the stupid brainwashed. Sheep have no idea what really goes on. We celebrate no heroes in America, not for a holiday.
At Diogenes 1084 wrote,
Unites States of Israel. Who would thought that the land of the brave, the land 9 degrees Fahrenheit the free, as they say, is actually the land of the most enslaved people on earth?
At MyTube4U wrote,
Tyler Earl Ray Robinson. Also, Sirhan isn't guilty. He is a Palestinian man, and that event happened on the 1-year anniversary of Pizzerial's 6-day war. A huge event to the Zios. Out of all of them, the RFK event might be the most obviously ridiculous as far as the official story.
At Adam0191 wrote,
Click a picture on the F companion's level control on, and sometimes enduring and on is control cold not. Flash. For and my again during sometimes a short difference in between and less in the in, and mom in not my receiving.
At My Sarah Q9P wrote,
They have a playbooks, and they repeatedly use the same tactics. We thin them decade after decade, inching us closer and closer to world government and pushing us further and further apart so we can constantly bicker and fight over this or that instead of ever truly realizing who the real enemy is.
T. Morgan 2 wrote,
Oh, of course, they would ANDDO. All of these events are CIA, Mossad, and government run and staged. False flag PS, YOPs. They're playing with and psychologically manipulating we the people of America. The world is there, / a stage. Please remember to question absolutely everything. Because things are never what they seem.
At Heather Spunheim wrote,
Lee Harvey could have shot JFK. It's a possibility. The Warren Commission, however, makes only one thing clear. The FBI bungled the chain of evidence so badly that they themselves should have been criminally investigated. Whether or not you think the government is committing these assassinations, you cannot possibly look at the evidence they present and conclude that they have any interest in pursuing the truth.
At MBSJC1 wrote,
Was he caught within 33 hours also? Lol Charlie was reviving real Christianity and read the Bible directly. He had to go as was a threat to the Zio Christian fakery.
At James Sullivan RU4op wrote,
The government runs the same playbook every single day and even have mindless zombies that will fight on behalf of it. They will never see beyond the myth of party versus party.
Adalu 1988 wrote,
James Earl Ray escaped from prison, successfully made it to Mexico, lived in Mexico for a few months, left Mexico for LA, took dancing lessons in LA, and then for no apparent reason while being on the run from the law drove halfway across the country and shot MLK, who he somehow knew the exact room in that motel he would be staying at. Nothing to see here, folks, just listen and believe.
At Rosalingahan 8574 wrote,
I guess JEH will in hell along with the actual killers. Did they ever think of eternity and the wrath of God? When he says vengeance is mine, he means it.
At KB6556 wrote,
Didn't they clean up 911 pretty quickly? They always use the same plays. It just feels a little bit better now because I'm not alone. I was alone back in 2020 with all this.
At Good Over Evil B6P2E wrote,
It's obvious they are exposing themselves in an effort to provoke a civil war. We are expected to lose, and they can then impose their vision of more authoritarian control via districts.
Snays TF4L wrote,
Just think of how ridiculous it is to suggest some guy escaped from prison and then thought to himself, instead of laying low, I think I'll try to take out the most prominent black public figure in America. Yet not buying based on that alone. No one would ever consider doing that as an escaped prisoner fugitive.
At Nicolar I6W wrote,
Oh my, almost exactly the same. I guess because Noon dug deeper on MLK, they didn't expect us to dig deeper into the deep dark depths of the internet and understand the official story on CK was BS.
At Euripsy wrote,
Of course they would. It's a playbook for a reason. They're meant to follow it to avoid getting caught, but following the same book is also why people catch on.
At Andy Smith 5012 wrote,
There is a department in the FBI that is a protection racket running cover for assassins hired to shut people up forever. MLK was shot in the mouth. Was it a message?
At Carlin 7M2L wrote,
MLK Jr. would be called a racist white supremacist by the Democrat Party and race hustlers across America. He was a straight Christian man who thought we shouldn't judge people by the color of their skin.
At Jacqueline Diamond 3301 wrote,
The FBI and CIA hurt the country and its people far more than is acknowledged. They have assassinated 4 political figures for speaking out against dirty warmongering deep state grifters' rotten consciousness since their inception, absolutely deviant degenerates.
At Jocelyn Ecologies 4147 wrote,
WE need TO no WHO. IS behind pulling THE strings. The CIA is just another lapdog. But for who though? Everyone got a boss. We can't allow this motherfuckers to poison our people, to take our people. Collective justice.
At John ZC4RZ wrote,
John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Vegas shooter, they always go back to the same old playbook. And what about MKULTRA's Manchurian Candidate program under the CIA? It always is the lone gunman.
At Light from Ray wrote,
Does this mean they're going to attempt another assassination attempt on Trump? If Kirk is MLK, then the president would likely be the next case. This is some wild shit.
At Shelley Love 1794 wrote,
Actually, we heard years ago later MLK Jr. was technically alive when he got to the hospital, and he was later suffocated in the hospital room and spit on there afterwards. I heard the family didn't believe the shooter they said did it. Yep, unalived in the hospital, not by the gunshot wound or wounds. I heard allegedly.
At Esther Majek 6958 wrote,
Even the Bible basically says there's nothing new under the sun, it's the same play over and over. Humans are just not smart enough to realize our history is changed right in front of our eyes. What we are told at the time is a lie. You think they don't change the past, that we can't check out because it's gone. Just remember who runs this world. Don't forget a second think we ever get the truth.
At Nicolioli wrote,
They don't care enough to get creative. Who is going to prove in a court of law Gov killed him or Charlie? In 50 years, it will all come out.
At Mastiff Myths Legend Sandlore wrote,
I don't know why we haven't had a revolution already. These government assholes just want us all dead, and no matter what we do to have a better life for our people, they just want you to die, so it's time to have a revolution.
At Giannerlit 2240 wrote,
We already know this is CIA Mossad. MI6 BS, they're responsible for all the wars, all the government takeovers, all the BS going on in the world. It's ridiculous if they think that we don't see it and we're that stupid. These are all wars, colonization, land grabs, resource grabs. It's hideous. These are totally unconscious, materialistic, cultish Zionist, which is Satanism.
At James Phillip 9300 wrote,
Of course, the lazy overlord's still using the same old crazed lone gunman with the 3006, so we inexplicable have to destroy the crime scene plan. You'd think they would get creative by now.
At Surfrunnered 8457 wrote,
The CIA absolutely uses the same playbook. When Carter was president, an assassination attempt was foiled in advance. The potential assassin was named Harvey Lee Oswald. You can't make this stuff up. Carter had wanted to reopen the investigation into JFK but pulled back.
At Dempsey 222 wrote,
MLK's son met with James Earl Ray in jail, and he told him he did not shoot his father, and MLK's son said, I believe you. So even his son did not believe the official story.
At Butim Theminiger wrote,
What I find curious is that on day one, they claimed it was a lone gunman. How would the investigators know that for a fact, unless they set the guy up? In the JFK incident, it was unprofessional to say that so early in the investigation, when there was a possibility that the Soviets did it. Unless it was all conspiracy set up by the same people, it was a single guy.
At Justin Muldoon F6S wrote,
American citizens have tremendous power, yet they do not wield it for their own favor, cowardice, and brainwashed. It's going to lead to their own demise soon enough. Collective power needs to be harnessed for once.
At Texture 2112 wrote,
1999, King family Martin Luther King, Jr. Court hearing verdict. Only ones found guilty were members of the Memphis Police and the U.S. government. Not James Earl Ray. The King family became friends with James Earl Ray through the years as he was in prison, as they knew that he was innocent.
At Brian Smith 6871 wrote,
Anything except it was a racist Democrat. Next, you're going to tell us it wasn't the Democrats fighting against civil rights at the same time, and that it definitely wasn't the Democrats that shot Lincoln or fought the Civil War to keep their slaves.
At Abhishek Duggal 2076 wrote,
This is for the record. History is written by the victor. History is filled with liars. If he lives and we die, his truth becomes written, and ours is lost. Shipper that name that you think fits best here will be a hero, 'cause all you need to change the world is one good lie and a river of blood. He's about to complete the greatest trick a liar ever played on history. His truth will be the truth, but only if he lives and we die.
At Aditya Sengupta 985 wrote,
It all adds up. No one is buying the Fed slop anymore. Bunch of deluded jokers in positions of power who feel they can fool the good people endlessly.
At W1BWY0K3VCHM1U wrote,
Oy vey. Please tell us about MLK's Jewish handlers, funding and direction. And talk about his serial adultery, extreme beating abuse of prostitutes, sex parties, gay orgies, participation in a rape, drug addiction, and alcoholism. The FBI transcripts are already declassified and released. The audio recordings will be released in 2007.
At his _disciple 369 wrote,
Let's not forget that he was surrounded by actual communist and commie sympathizers. King wasn't the good man that history claims him to be. I civil agree that civil rights actually set back the black community decades. Look at his fruits today.
Braxton 45 wrote,
They killed the Kennedys, they killed Malcolm X, and they killed MLK. They tried to kill 2 ex-Democrat turned Republican presidents, Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. Both had 2 attempts on their lives. I'm 73 years old and I remember all the reasons that people were talking about as to why. Even those assassinated knew how high the possibility was of them being taken out and had talked about it. If their smear campaign doesn't work, it's then the final solution. They smeared all of them, trying to destroy their credibility and character, putting out rumors to magazines and papers, and spread rumors of them in Washington. The Democrats have always been devious and obsessed with power. After Kennedy was assassinated, and LBJ reached his goal of becoming president, the FBI were given carte blanche to govern themselves.
At Leah Williams 8476 wrote,
They are called the most intelligent, yet display an incredible kind of absurdity. If it weren't for the authority that props them up under blackmail and threat, they would never get away with this childish crass narratives.